Let's be excited. And I'm not going to delay or belay anything, but I do want to thank Holly Davis for allowing me this opportunity, for ever meeting me and having the voice to just speak to me. So that I am grateful for. So if you would, however you give thanks, bow your head, meditate, we will pray. Lord God of mercy, I thank you for this moment in time. I thank you for this gathering as the campaign for County Commissioner, District 5, and your will in Holly Davis's life be done. God, we thank you so much for allowing us to gather, to communicate, and in this wonderful, great place that we live, we look forward to it being even better because of the people that know they are servants in your kingdom. God, we thank you. And one last thing, Father. We know we've had a few mouthfuls, but we do want to thank you for this food, this nourishment that you have provided us, for the nourishment of our body, that it might nourish our minds, bodies, souls, and spirits, that we may better serve you. Amen.
Amen.
Well, hoop it up!
Well, thank everybody for coming and participating in this event, the kickoff event for Holly's campaign as Commissioner District 5. I'm Holly's very proud father, Tom Davis. I used to be known as an icon of the Crystal River Airport. I have now, I'm saying I was an icon at the Crystal River Airport. Josh, you remember that? That has been downgraded somewhat to the current title, and probably more accurate. I'm an artifact from the Crystal River Airport. Got my cheat sheet here. I'm sure we don't miss anything. The thing that I'm a little ashamed of right now is I didn't feel very good about Holly taking this on. I really didn't. I have to give a profound apology now for that, but I had good reason for it. I've watched this county commission for over 40 years, and I can't believe what those guys and girls put up with on that county commission. The principal thing being those interminable board meetings every 2 weeks, right, Josh? So I really wasn't happy to support that, but I've seen her, and when giving that some more thought, I've seen her enthusiasm about taking this on, and I got to thinking, I don't know of anyone any better, really, because there's some things that are very important to all of us. One of them, of course, being the environment. You hear it all the time, and it's true. That's what brings people here. And Holly is well grounded in that. She grew up on the river here, on the bay. She's had a very active childhood, and skiing and snorkeling, and yes, flying. She soloed airplane at 16 on her 16th birthday, very minimum time. She got her pilot certificate at age 17 on her birthday, very minimum time. And I often use the phrase, having once been a pretty active flyer myself, you think we have a beautiful place. We do. Just take a look at it from the air sometime. It is truly a great place. So that is one thing that I checked the block for. The second one, was being a business person. After graduating from Crystal River High, she went to University of Texas for 4 years, had a brief stint with a company in marketing and advertising, and at a very young age started her own company. And that's one thing I've been very proud of her, working so well and making the reputation that she has in a very competitive business, certainly for a young woman starting out, and she's done a super job in that. And I do think that's a very important thing that we have on the county commission is people that actually started a company, that actually makes a payroll, that actually deals with the government, both the upside and the downside, with dealing with government and work on things that really mean something to the business community. And lastly, she has been absent from the county for some periods of time, but that's to her credit. In her business, she worked all over the states and got to see what other people did, the good and the bad, and what maybe need correcting. So in that respect, I think in terms of being prepared for this seat, should she win it, she's well prepared from an environmental side, from a business side, and from living outside of this wonderful cocoon we live in called Crystal River. So it with great pride that I introduce my baby daughter, Holly Day.
First off, I want to thank everybody for coming. I should probably use the microphone. Sorry about that. I do have a really good outdoor voice, but I like to say, and this is true, my first career ambition was to be a farmer's wife, which I think is kind of funny, but I was 7 years old. So, by the time I hit middle school, I was thinking more along the lines of marine biologist or forestry agent, because despite my attire this evening, I'm actually a tomboy at heart, and I spent most of my time roaming through the woods and out on the river, like Dad said. Then in high school, I learned how to fly, like Dad said, and of course, he is just the most bad you-know-what fighter pilot in the world, and my brother was also a fighter pilot, so of course, I wanted to join the family business and be a fighter pilot. Unfortunately, really poor eyesight kind of killed that plan, but nowhere in any of those years did I say, when I grow up, I want to be a politician. I mean, seriously, right? So I was actually asked to run late last fall. And I confess I kind of laughed. And then they kept asking and telling me why I should. And so I did some research, and I did more research. And some of my best friends that are in this room like to give me grief that I don't do anything serious in my life without a serious strategy. And it's true, I have to say. So pretty quickly, two things happened. I realized that my county actually needed me to step up and be part of the solution versus just complaining about the few things that really aren't going in the right direction here. And the second thing is that I felt it. I felt it right in my heart that I really needed to do this. One of my favorite expressions is, to whom much is given, much is expected, and I learned it from this guy over here, a life of service. So let's talk about the Suncoast Parkway, the elephant in the room. We've all driven by there. We can see it is rapidly taking shape. It is coming. It is a done deal. I believe it could be an enormous opportunity for this county, but if we don't plan for it correctly, it could also be a big problem. Right now, there's not a lot of traffic on there, right? But if you talk to anybody that's looking at the population growth patterns into Florida and within Florida, they will tell you that the population is pushing northward into our beautiful nature coast. And we also have a net gain of 900 new residents in the state of Florida every single day. So if you are wanting to stop growth, I hate to tell you, it's just absolutely not possible to stop growth. However, we can shape growth. We really don't want to end up like Spring Hill. I'm going to throw them under the bus a couple of times, sorry, this evening. But we're currently on a trajectory possibly to turn into that. I do think if we have a good plan, we can actually turn that into, like I said, a great opportunity and a totally positive development in the middle of the county. Reason being is I do a lot of reading. Folks who know me well know that I read incessantly. I have read about so many small towns in America that are, listed in the top 10 or whatever, and they have this huge influx of residents that just swamp and just completely eradicate what made everybody want to move there, right? So the good news is that we do not have a tsunami forecast for Citrus County. The forecast says 15 to 20% population growth in 20 years, which is a completely doable number, again, if we plan for it, right? So we're looking at 5,000 to 6,000 new residents every 5 years. So what do we need to do about it? We need to pull out the master plan, the comprehensive plan, and we need to look at the zoning in that, from what I understand, is decades old. I mean, there's been some changes, but the huge, looking at it from way up here, we like to say in business, the 35,000 foot view, that has not been done in decades. And so certainly the current master plan did not envision the Suncoast Parkway dumping into the middle of this. So we take that out, and then we consult with all the great minds in the county that have already put a lot of effort into envisioning what this county needs to grow up to be. Things like Vision 2030 and other leaders in the community. We need to tackle this political hot potato. We absolutely have to. It's going to be tough, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be a difficult fight, it's going to drive my father nuts, because if I win, people are going to be really mean to me at times. But we need to know what we want this county to look like in 5, 10, 20 years, and we need to make it happen. So, why I believe I'm the best candidate to represent you on the county commission. As Dad said, I am both a home girl and I went away for a few years. I went to Crystal River Middle. I graduated from Crystal River High. Like a lot of young people that graduate high school here, I left to go pursue a career. My first stop was University of Texas at Austin, where I earned a bachelor's degree. I then went on to follow my career through 4 states as it developed, becoming a business growth strategist and a creative director and a business owner on my own. But then 2007, my mother was diagnosed with dementia. All 4 of her children lived outside the state of Florida. As it turned out, I was the most portable, and by that time my career had come far enough along that I could move back. And I have to say, it wasn't a hardship. I wanted to come back here. So I moved back here to help my mother through her transition through the last 4 years of her life. It was the hardest yet most profoundly rewarding period of my life to date. And it also gave me a real-time, up-close, personal experience with what it's like to get old, right? To be a senior and the things that they face. And, hey, I'm over 50, so I'm getting there too at some point. I know I'm a baby.
Nobody gets out alive.
Nobody gets out alive. Hopefully we have some fun and do some good while we're here. So the reason I keep coming back here like a homing pigeon, and I am actually here to stay now, I'm done. What I've noticed in all the places I've lived is that we care more about each other in this community than any other place I've lived. So from the very most fortunate among us, the ones that do have some serious wealth, all the way down to us more average folk, we all give and give and give and give of our time and money to help our fellow neighbors, our citizens, and to make this a better place. For example, I was very pleased to meet when I was up in Tallahassee, a number of people there for the Kings Bay Restoration Project. Stunning stunning difference in Kings Bay. Very happy to hear that they're moving towards working, doing the same thing for Homosassa now. We launched or opened the YMCA, which is an amazing facility that helps people from all walks of life with zero debt. And I wasn't here to help with that, but I definitely would have, and I'm super happy that the community stepped up to do that, because that is a big jewel. And I have to say that I don't think I actually have any close friends in this community that don't do charity work. We have Rotary. A lot of Rotarians here. My good friend Paula is here. She works for, and I always botch the name, the Mid Florida Coalition for the Homeless. Yep, it's close. I got all the words. I tend to move them around a little bit. So my vision is to keep that community spirit going forward in a way that invites the newcomers to take part in it and embrace it rather than change it. Several steps to do that, and this is going to seem a little odd to say this, but I believe the very first thing that we need to do to preserve that as growth happens is to get in front of our infrastructure and planning. Let me explain what I mean by that. What I've found in all the different places I've lived, which has been rural and ex-urban and never quite urban because I'm really more of a farm girl, where you live, how easily you get where you're going, and how you interact with your neighbors is what fosters community spirit or discourages it. Okay? So think about it. I've lived in these cities. You fight traffic, bad traffic, and you're looking at ugly sprawl every day, Monday through Friday. It's just, it's very soul-sucking. And it does not leave you with the physical and mental, emotional fuel in your tank to do more than just take care of yourself and your very tight inner circle, your family. You don't have the time to do Rotary. You don't have the time to go out and do these other things. Not to the level that we do it in this county. So a lot of people would say that development and population growth is the problem, right? That that's the fault of population growth and development. It could be part of the problem a little bit, but that's not the whole story. If you plan correctly, that doesn't actually have to happen. So we need a solid strategy, and we need it now. And now I'm going to do the 3 points, because I've been told repeatedly that I need to do 3 points, that you guys can absorb 3 points. I'm going to have more than that, I promise, okay? Pretty sure you can absorb more than 3, but I'm going to follow the rules and be a politician and do my 3 points. So, you ready? We need an actionable vision to avoid ugly sprawl in the middle of the county coming from Suncoast Parkway. This cannot happen in Citrus. My dad is 92. Sorry to out you, Dad. My dad is 92. Pretty good chance that I'll still be here in 40 years. I want it to be here, and I want to still love living here. So just from a purely self-absorbed standpoint, that can't happen. And if I'm elected county commissioner, it's not going to happen on my watch if there's anything I can do about it. It's just one vote, but anything I can do about it. This is not just a middle of the county issue, okay? Because it will impact other areas as well, most especially if we get it right, okay? Because that planning should involve also luring new businesses here, which brings new jobs and new everything else, which ends up impacting the rest of the county. So what do I think is right for the county, especially around Suncoast? It's not endless strip malls, gas stations, fast food, and chain restaurants. It's not that. Yes, we'll have some of that, but it's not that. I personally, as a citizen, not speaking as a possible commissioner, but as a citizen, I personally would like to see good architecture, neighborhood design, local restaurants like the lovely Vintage on 5th. Mike Parker is here and right there, and the restaurant we're here in this evening. And professional services, everything that fosters a walkable community that invites neighborliness and a quality of life. Now here's the kicker. Unlike Inverness and Crystal River, we don't have old town anchors in the center of the county. They can use those old historical asset buildings to promote, to completely reinvent themselves as a charming downtown. Inverness used to be a city in decline. It's now a city on the rise, and Crystal River is coming along. So in the absence of any of those historical assets, you end up with a blank canvas, and what does that invite? Typically the lowest common denominator, which is strip malls, right? So we need to step up our game as a county. We're late and we need to get on this now. All right, that was a very long first priority point. Everybody remember? No sprawl, okay? So the next two are very quick. I'm coming to the end. We need businesses offering higher paying careers to locate here. This gives our best and brightest kids a reason to have their families here, to have their careers here, and all you folks that watch your kids leave the county, I'm sure you would want most of them, maybe not all of them, but want most of them to stick around. Kids, grandkids, etc. There's always the black sheep, right? More immediately, I've also heard in doing a lot of sort of fact-finding missions, talking to various leaders of different things in the county, I've also heard that there are some skill sets that we do not have locally that we have been trying very hard to bring in. And they want to move here, I mean, who wouldn't, right? But their spouse has a high-level job that they can't find in this county, right? So more vibrant business allows us to get, and especially the medical professionals that we need to bring in because their spouse can also get a good job here. This will additionally help just fostering business, a business-friendly community will also help the current businesses grow and expand and offer some higher paying jobs as they grow as well. Third priority point, this is the shortest one of all because everybody in this room agrees with it, pretty sure. We must continue to restore and protect our waters. That's an easy one. And I had to put it on here because it keeps coming up, and I just wanted to make it absolutely clear that I am definitely pro waters. It is the reason most of us live here. Tourism is important. We need to diversify past tourism, but tourism is also important. So we need to do that. It's also just the right thing to do. Okay, so there's some other areas of opportunity and challenges that have come up in some of my fact-finding discussions. We have a good education system, but you can always keep going better. Roads, seniors on fixed income, attainable housing, and there are areas that desperately need help and attention throughout the county. So here's my answer to that. And if you haven't had a chance to take a look at that yellow infographic over on the, I think it's the sign table, you might want to take a look at that. Because the solutions that work for the three priorities I just mentioned actually have a positive impact on all these other issues. For example, a broader tax base allows us to keep taxes in check and also still afford roads and other base needs. So, how do I approach things? My background in business and leadership means I do strategy first. Period, end of story. Strategy comes before tactics. I see a lot of tactics being deployed when people talk. We need to talk about strategy. I listen to all sides, I examine the hard data, and I try very hard to make what I think is the best recommendation to suit the most citizens in the county, and also with an eye to what it's going to look like in the future. As a strategist, this is where I always start, because if you don't know where you're going, all the maps in the world are not going to get you there, right? You gotta have something in sight. So now I ask for your help. I would love to hear from all of you. Let me know what your hopes and fears are for the county, what you see happening, any questions. Would love to hear from you. I want to give a brief shout out to my amazing friends and volunteer army, as well as the guests here tonight. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Holly Davis, and I'm going to break down a little bit here. My name is Holly Davis, and I'm here to ask for your support as a candidate for County Commission District 5.